First full track run. Here we go.
The shocks in it completely blown.
Jeez!
Throttle as I'm about to turn, and the rear end starts to slide out behind me. Hey, what's up? It's been a minute. I'm back on making the videos. Yeah, today I have a very special video for you. Little story about how I got started on my first ever racing event in autocross. But before that, I'd like to do just a quick little PSA regarding some things that have been going on locally, regarding specifically the OKWHIPS and Club 97 car meets, locations being hindered by hooning and stunting. Yeah, it's very difficult to put on an event in the first place, and for these guys to be able to put on events like the car meets that they're doing right now as is already huge, but to have the privilege of having a great location being taken away by idiots who are doing donuts consistently in a parking lot is really dumb. So quick little message, just wanted to say, if you're watching this and you're thinking about doing anything, regardless of where you are in the world, North America or wherever, I don't know what the car scene is like in other countries, but if you're at a car meet that is sanctioned simply by just being there and it's not by police or anything or whatever, please do not stunt where people can see you. Go out somewhere it's safe. Go out where you're not going to hurt anybody. Be an idiot where no one else can get hurt. That's what I keep telling people. Anyway, today I'm going to tell you about how I got started on the Introduction to Autocross course with my 1993 Lexus SC400.
Damn, Teo, you on fire. Where'd you go?
Alright, so this whole story began way back in 2020 when I met Ethan. And also, shortly after that, when I met Steve. So I became friends with them in 2021 after filming the Lunch Break series with them. Found out very quickly that autocross is what they like to do. So as I became more and more friends with them, they started to encourage me more to come out to these events because they're super fun. And at the time, I didn't actually have a car, I just had my 1994 Toyota 4Runner, which is quite obviously a rollover risk for a time travel course. So come October 2022, I actually get my Lexus SC400. On October 1st, I get my car and I'm thinking, okay, now I have a car, now I can get started on all this, and I can finally get started on having a car to mod out and do things like that. So let's jump ahead a little bit. April 1st, I was at a point where I was getting ready. The snow had all melted. It was warm enough that I actually go outside and not break my hands on anything and just be able to work on my car function-wise. So what I ended up doing actually was I tore apart the whole interior. So I ripped out the carpet, the seats, the back seat, and the back speakers as well. The entire thing is like metal sheet, floor and back, everything. And the reason I did this was because the floor was like super stained. I ended up washing the carpet, turned out really nice. I got a cool new steering wheel for my car. I was just trying to figure out what I could do to get the car track ready. So threw on the old wheels, getting it ready to go. And thing was good to go. April 21st was the day before autocross, and there were only a couple of things left that I had to do. I had to get the car ready, and I had to get myself ready. So a little bit of training and a little bit of preparation. Car was basically ready to go. Yeah, dude. think I'm ready.
At the car wash. At the car wash, yeah.
That's like 6-year-old me right there.
At the car wash. Sing it with me. At the car wash, yeah.
So April 22nd, the day of Autocross. To start off the day before we actually got to do anything, I took my little sister Sarah along to film the whole thing. We had to do 3 things. We had to go get fuel, we had to eat breakfast, and we had to wash the car. So the first thing we did, we went to get some fuel. And fuel is expensive for a V8 that takes premium.
What the frick is that?
Alrighty, now let's go for a car wash. So once the car was finally filled up, we took it right across the street to good old A&W. Got us some breakfast.
A&W.
Ooh, A&W. Getting us some sausage and eggers this morning. Gotta be fueled up, you know. You fuel up the car, but you gotta fuel up yourself too, so. I'm just dropping cash on everything today, though. You as well. Got our breakfast. Check what time it is. And if it's not, we still got some time. Oh, we got half an hour. Quick wash? Yeah, quick wash. Once we finally had some breakfast ready to go, we headed over to the Skogies. Oh, 240 showed up. That's good. Ooh, cool Porsche. So beginning of the Autocross day, the first thing we had to do was we parked up and we met with our driving instructors. So my instructor was Steve. They set me up with Steve, and Steve is, first of all, just a super sick guy to hang out with. Super cool. But he's also a really good teacher. So I was really excited to get to learn how to race my car with him, because I've seen him drive the crap out of Ethan's GTR, and he's a monster driver.
Woo! Let's go! Oh my gosh! Get out of town, this is insane!
So the first thing that he did was he told me what we kind of needed to do to get my car prepped. We had to get things all out of it. We had to take my toolbox out of the back, get anything loose out of there. We had to make sure that I was set up with my helmet and everything. I brought an actual like quad helmet to use, but it wasn't rated for the kind of racing we needed to do, so I had to use a loaner helmet, which in my opinion was a little bit better because you can actually see my face.
You look great.
My helmet doesn't qualify, so I gotta use this one. I got the right helmet. I got my car all cleaned out. He made sure I had no, leaking fluid or anything. I was good enough to go. The car was clean, like it was ready to go. So Steve sits me down and he just starts talking strategy. He starts talking where to hold my hands on the wheel. He tells me kind of how to position my seatbelt, how to position myself, how to just kind of prep driving wise and position wise, how to sit in the car. So to really get as much information as I could before actually starting the course was prime. So we sit down for the driver's meeting, they have some coffee and some tea and some donuts, and they kind of sit us down, they break down how the event is going to go. We start off by all of us introducing ourselves, our names, and kind of why we're here. And then after that, they start breaking down the course. They start breaking down the rules and kind of how they're able to make the event work, and then how the actual racing happens and what the things you're trying to do and trying to accomplish in an autocross event, so you don't really go out there and make a fool of yourself. It's kind of the whole point of the intro event, is so that you can go out, learn how to do it, so that when you get into an actual event, you can really push your car to the limit on the first lap. Now the course walk is exactly what it sounds like. You take the course as it is and you just walk it, just so that you know what the corners look like and the straightaways, and you know where the cones are, so that you're not going to run out on the course and just crash into something right away. They let you walk the course so that you know what the course is going to look like before you even set foot in your car.
This is exactly what I was talking about. You want to approach slow and do we have a bar system, barcode? When you guys come back to taking an autocross?
Just a little reminder all the time, you know. So I gotta be safe today.
Woo! About to go racing in my car. And it's really cold. Anyway.
So the first stage we're going to course walk is, we start at the start point and the course goes straight left. So right out of the gate you're turning left and you have this straightaway that's probably about 50 feet long. And then you take a hard right, do a little turn, and then into a stop box. So this is kind of like the first, I don't even know, like 10, maybe 15% of the course. Like, it's not much of the course at all, but it really got me to feel like a feel for my car. And as I'm learning this, Steve is taking it generously slow with me. Not so slow that he's able to, like, you know, keep intimidation out of me, but enough that I'm able to really pay attention to what's happening.
Nice. Perfect. Woo. Dude, that was sick. Well done. Woo!
I instantly was hooked. I was like, literally left, straight, slow down, right, stop. I was like, okay, where's the full course?
Perfect. Yes. Nice. Woo!
So the second stage kind of introduced us to this section right after the stop box, where the stop box would be. It introduced us to a slalom into a hard left hairpin. And it's kind of getting us to feel our car going fast straight with steering input, and then getting us into a fast corner where you can really mess it up if you're not on your brakes at the right time. Just this second stage alone was teaching me how to really take on this car. To do this little course with that heavy of a car was just already a thing on its own. So for me to actually get used to it this way was really just intense. It's super intense, but I was friggin' loving it. The third stage basically took what we had from everything prior, and then instead of stopping at the first left hairpin, you basically go into a figure eight. And this whole time, Steve is being very encouraging. He's very like, I'm on it. He's telling me like I was actually doing pretty good. That's what he was telling me. But something about the car was just very off. And when I say very off, I mean, I didn't notice it that day. I came to that event knowing it was bad. Essentially, I have really old coilovers on this thing, and yes, it's low. It looks cool, but the shocks in it are completely blown. And when I say completely blown, I mean like BJ Baldwin suspension travel blown.
Jeez, man! Woo!
So to break it down, this whole time we were actually in second gear, and second gear was just not enough torque. Like there's not like you couldn't get full power with short enough speed. So we transfer it back into first, and in first gear we have so much response to the power, like unbelievable response to the power. It's insane. So when we take this figure 8 spot, this finishing off the figure 8, I let off the throttle as I'm about to turn, and the rear end starts to slide out behind me. But then right after this, we go to stop, and the stop box is right on one of these little crests, and I'm hitting the brakes, and it's just not letting us stop. Like prior to this, Steve tried to stop, and we literally took the entire stop box to finish because the ABS would not let the brakes grab. So when we go to hit this little bump here, it's just going boom, 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 boom. This whole time I'm trying to wrangle this car to the best of my ability and trying to figure it out. And I'm doing pretty good, granted, I'm doing pretty good. This car is just absolutely terrifying to control.
What? Yeah, that's so bad. Holy crap.
All right, it's lunchtime. I've hit a couple runs. I'll insert some iPhone footage that Sarah got of Steve and I just ripping it in the SC. Found that first gear is way more power than second gear, so tires would be spinning, and traction control works, and all my shocks are gone. So I don't have a clip, but Steve frickin' launched it on the end right over here. It's like a little hump, and he just hit it and tried to stop, and it just went would not stop. So, but yeah, lunchtime out here at Autocross. I'm having fun, I'm learning, and I'm getting kind of fast. So once I have sick, nice coilovers and actual track tires, I'm gonna be a beast. And hopefully you can actually get a ride along next time.
That'd be great.
First full track run. Here we go. Watch my death stare this whole race. And let's hope Steve's nose doesn't bleed.
What a pure excitement and adrenaline.
So we get to this last full course, and they give us, I think, 5 runs each, because we got 2 practice runs, or not 2 practice runs, but 2 untimed runs, and then 3 full runs that were actually timed that would put us on the scoreboard where we could track against everyone else. So now I go into the full course laps here. My first practice run, I do it first. The first one I go through and I do pretty dang good. They have the times up on there, but they don't count them. And my first practice run, I took the whole course. I did pretty well. I don't remember what time I got, but I did pretty well.
Beautiful, beautiful. Oh my goodness, man, that was perfect. Woo! Oh, that was so fun. That was fantastic.
That was a killer run.
Second time, Steve took the course.
Second no timed full track run. Steve's up. See what he can do. Dang, we are the same person. What is happening? We're dressed the same.
Oh!
And he did exceptional. And what made me really excited was his time in my car was only about 3 or 4 seconds faster than me. Even though my car isn't the best handling car there at all, I was able to keep up with him pretty well.
First time run.
So we get to our first full timed run, where we take the whole course, and it's timed, and the time ends up on the leaderboard, placing me against everyone else. And I take that run, and I ended up being super close to Steve. couldn't believe how actually decent I was doing on this course, having never driven an autocross course before. And Steve kept telling me, he's seen me. Like, I play like Forza and I've played Gran Turismo at Ethan's house before. I have video game race car experience. So I wasn't unfamiliar to controlling my brakes and my throttle to gain more time.
Woo! Are you recording?
Yep.
Dude! First official run, I got a 52, what was it? 52.3? 52.5. 52.5.
Man, that was stellar.
Woo! Alright, got 2 more runs. We'll see how those go.
And so I pull up to the gate for my second run. My second timed run. I was excited. I was sitting there by myself, getting myself mentally prepared. I wasn't playing music or anything because I don't have a stereo, but you know, the guy waves the flag and it's time to go. I hit that first straight with everything I had. Turned right, go through the slalom, everything I had. Going through, enter the figure 8. I am freaking pushing it. I'm going through with this car. I am giving the SC all it has. I get through the figure 8. I come out the figure 8, I go across. I take this long straight, and I hit this long straight, and the suspension is so bad. I'm going over these bumps like a rally car. Like, it is jumping over these bumps. I go around the last corner into the straight, and I hit the straight, and I am pinned to the floor. And I go to the stop box, and the brakes are stiff. I push with everything I have on the brakes, and I'm able to stop right before the cones, but the brakes are nothing like they were on the course. I was able to come to a stop, and the engine was idling super weird. Like, it was almost like it had a cam. It was like choppy. And I go back into my parking spot, we pop the hood, I take a look at it, and I can't tell what is going on. Because it's just making a weird noise. I don't know what's going on. I'm looking around because I hear something's like disconnected, like something is just like popped off. And I'm looking around, and Steve comes over and he looks around and he finds a vacuum line, like a big one, coming off the back of the intake. So we pop the vacuum line back onto the intake, and then Steve tells me to go back in the car and start it up, and it starts up just fine. Well, almost. Steve tells me to give it a rev, and he sees oil dripping down the side of the engine. I get out the car, and everyone kind of taps Steve. They're like, no, it's not his block. And then I look, and right where the valve cover mounts to the head, there's a crack. So when you rev it high, oil kind of spills out.
I've had some news for Lexi here. Turns out, thrashing and banging on an autocross course lets you know that you have a cracked valve cover.
So what this meant was I actually couldn't race my third run, which was really disappointing. Yeah, I just kind of sat there. I didn't really get another chance to get at it because obviously I don't have a spare valve cover in my trunk. But the nice thing was when we put the vacuum line back on, my throttle response was the way it was supposed to be, and my braking response was the way it was supposed to be. So the only thing I really had to pay attention to, aside from my sloppy suspension, was the crack in the valve cover. So I couldn't actually go back out, but I was able to drive home, which was the good part.
So, yeah, not quite the news I was hoping to hear, but it's good to hear that I'm not trash at Autocross today. But yeah, today was kind of the live and learn day, and she did pretty well for having blown suspension and a cracked valve cover.
They showed off the positioning. As of my second run, I was 7th out of 19, which, given the state of my car, I was actually very impressed with. I was not super bummed out about that. That was a super cool moment to be able to come to my first ever race event, only get 2 runs, and actually end up above kind of middle average area. It was a really cool experience to just kind of go to an event to take my own car to and really push my own car and myself to the limit. A limit that I had never gotten myself to before. It's such a cool thing to be able to come to such a small community event like that, where it's so competitive and so fun, where you can really smoke someone with your time, but you all get out and you fist bump and have some lunch over it. It's like the best thing I've ever experienced in like the car world, next to like filming my videos. But yeah, that's essentially my whole day with autocross. Thank you guys so much for watching. I don't know if you guys saw it, if you don't follow the Instagram, we got this new lunch break design out. If you guys are interested, hit up the email here on the screen or follow Riles.Merch on Instagram. Be sure to keep following, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.